culturally right now, as we're going through this pandemic, we're also seeing a rise in awareness among race and racism and where we each come from in our own personal circumstances. One of the things that struck me in having conversations with my friends around hiring talent that doesn't live or work in your area is that there is an embedded prejudice against people who aren't maybe growing up in the town or the state that you grew up in, and thinking that maybe they can't be as talented as you. And if they didn't grow up in America, maybe they're not going to be as smart as you.
Sure.
And it's really interesting to hear, people say it with a straight face and with honest intentions without really realizing that embedded in there is this concept that not all humans are created equal. And, my experience traveling around the world, meeting people, interacting with all sorts of income levels, socioeconomic backgrounds, is that, as humans, we all have the same basic desires. And then when we go into a region and we start looking at the talent pool, what we have to bifurcate is the IQ, intelligence, technical capabilities from the more cultural upbringing and the cultural ethos of a particular area. And how do we try and meld those kind of consistent issues between, an entrepreneurial American culture that might exist in some businesses and a more regimented, fixed mentality for some people that grow up in an Asian environment, as an example. And if you peel that onion back, that's just, getting familiar and becoming like a Southerner meeting a Northerner, an East Coaster meeting a West Coaster. We all grow up in different environments and we could figure out how to engage with one another. But our intelligence and our technical skill and the things that, at the end of the day really are what matter and contribute value in our workplace, they're the same around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one of the things that makes the Philippines such a popular destination for outsourcing is because of their Western culture and how easily it melds with the US and other Western companies is because, they're watching the same TV shows, they're watching the same movies. I'm talking to my team and we're talking about Netflix, series and HBO series and have that same shared cultural experience that, although not technically important, is a little, it's a little bit important. And I think that's a part of the reason why the Philippines is such an attractive option for US based companies is you do share that cultural similarity. That being said, there is the talent there that can handle the projects and your or the generic person's concerns about talent in the Philippines compared to talent in the US is, in my mind, unfounded if you're looking for the right people. And to me, a lot of people are looking for that cheapest option or are looking for somebody to fill that low level role. And therefore they're getting, the lower end of the talent pool. Because obviously somebody that's worked for JP Morgan Chase as a account executive and traveled all over the world and maybe even studied in the US, they're not filling out applications for those positions, right? And so if you're looking for the high level executives or the high level professionals that have done that kind of work, you can find them. And your impression about how the talent pool is in the Philippines will be greatly shaped by those experiences.
In my own experience recruiting for my own team and seeing the type of talent that's willing to work for a small growing company like mine, it's much better. Forget about price. Just the ability to attract them into my workplace is much greater than it is locally in the South Florida market. So even if I forget about the dollars, if I was willing to pay top dollar, I still could get better talent in the Philippines.
One of the things we say to our clients is our drafters are as good or better than the drafters you have in-house. And you should be holding us to that same bar, that we're going to be as good as the drafters you are in-house. And I think if you demand that, that's what you're going to get. And so I think a lot of times people, when they're looking for outsourced drafting services, they're like, you know what, we're going to sacrifice a little bit of quality, but we're going to save some money. And if you go into it with that mindset, that's what you're going to get. You're going to get a little bit less quality, and you're going to get, you know, you're going to save a little bit of money. But I don't think anyone's ever at the end of the day, no one's ever happy with that process. You know, engineering is a technical thing, and you know, architecture obviously, and the design stuff is important. You know, what we put on the piece of paper is what's going to get built out there in the world. And so you need to have people that demand excellence and quality, and that's what we do at CAD sourcing.